Oh boy.
Okay, I think we are now live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 11th episode of the Messy Desk Concert and Conversation series. And I'm really excited to have with me today a very special guest, Filipe Neves Curral.
Hey.
Um, and Philippe is a friend of mine, a fellow student at Conservatory Maastricht in the Netherlands. But I will let him introduce himself more in a second. And to everyone watching, if there's any issues with the audio levels, please tell me. Tell me if I'm too loud, Philippe is too loud, anything like that. And what other housekeeping do I need to get out of the way? Please hit the share button. Please hit the like button. If you have questions or comments for me or Philippe, please tell us. And if something seems weird with the video format of the call, it's because my webcam is not working and Amazon is taking literally a month to ship me a new one because there's a worldwide pandemic, which means everyone's buying things online. So, anyhow. Hi, Philippe.
Hi, Mike.
How are you?
Good. Um, Actually very lazy today.
Nice.
Typical quarantine uh, mood,
Yes.
being inside
I
and
haven't I haven't put on real pants all day because I didn't have to.
I confess I did for now just to give it a bit of I don't know. It feels like otherwise I'll be doing this like in real life, let's put it this way, like
Yeah.
face to face with a pajama on, I
Yeah, yeah.
wouldn't feel comfortable.
I think that pajamas on messy desk is probably fine. I mean, it goes with the ethos of the show.
Actually, yeah, it matches. One thing matches the other. Now that you mention,
Good. Nice.
I'm bringing a messy beard though, so
Yes.
better than
Good.
nothing.
Yeah, I trimmed my beard, so it's better that you have a messy one at least. So can you tell the audience a tiny bit about yourself before you play something? Just, some background.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, I'm Filipe Neves Curral. I come from
Oh,
Portugal, from north of Portugal.
oh, okay.
Yeah, we met in the Conservatorium Maastricht because we both studied with Carlo Marchione. Before this, I did my bachelor's in Évora in Portugal with Dejan Ivanovic. Um, I actually never had to introduce myself. I always write these things, so
Nice.
but I don't think there's much more to say. I love music. I can't live without it. Absolutely. Uh, Even when it's not playing, at least hearing. Um, Guitar not so much. So let's see about the quiz later. I'm a huge fan of orchestral music, of piano music. I'm a singer as well. I forgot to mention it. It's also, uh, yeah, important, I guess. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that's
Nice.
already
Well,
what I'm looking for.
Flavio says you guys both look wonderful. Thank you, Flavio. And he said nobody's
Thank
too
you,
loud.
Claudia.
Good. Awesome. Well, what are you gonna play to start off, Philippe? You're gonna play some.
I'm gonna play two really unknown pieces uh, from a really unknown composer. It's Lagrima and Adelita by Francisco Tárrega. I don't know if you heard of it.
Yeah, I think they're gems of the repertoire or something. That's the description I would
Never ever
use.
played by anyone.
Yeah,
Recently discovered.
yeah. Okay, let's hear some Lagrima and Adelita. Beautiful.
Dankjewel.
Very nice.
Thanks, Mike.
Awesome. Sorry, I just have to adjust the screen because now that we're on the same screen, I have to just like move myself to the side.
Sure. How's the sound?
Sounds
Does
good.
it? Yeah. No, but like, do you hear everything, or is there any moment that the sound like kind of dies or something, or is it okay?
There are some slight hiccups, but I think it might be the internet. I don't know if we can fix that. It's all good.
Oh damn. Okay.
Yeah, it
All right.
sounds nice. Beautiful. Well played.
Thank, thank you, Michael.
Yeah, those are fun to play actually. I sometimes use them when I have like, small gigs kind of thing or something where I'm playing for people who don't know the guitar repertoire that well.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely very nice. And actually, well, I played both of them, but I think the moment where I really learned them, and maybe you can also add something to this, is where when I teach them for the first time. I teach both of them,
Mhm.
and I it really made me like uh, think of fingerings and think of ideas and blah blah because you have to present them
Mhm.
to the to your teaching, right? And from that moment, it's not actually it's also not. I don't know. I think when you teach something, there's a piece, let's say, it's you don't need to practice so much because you work so much mentally on it, right? That
Mhm.
it really it stays in you, and yeah, I don't know. What do you
I
think?
I think so too. I think Jude Clapperwa was talking about this in an interview where he said, it's nice to play typically played beginner or intermediate pieces because
Yeah,
we don't hear them often played by professionals, let's say. And that's not to say that I don't like hearing, for example, my students play them, but it's nice to take pieces that you work on with your students that you can actually polish. Um,
yeah, absolutely.
and yeah, I definitely, the stuff I do with my students that's basic, let's say, I learn a lot more about it because I actually have to think, like you say. So I think that's very true.
Yeah,
And it's not that it doesn't have quality. It's just that we often, as a professional or even as a student at the university level, if you play something like that, is kind of people find it kind of weird or something. But
mm.
I think that that's also a strange opinion. I mean, yeah, like even Rovshan played Capriccio Arabe when he won the GFA, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the end, well, I think let's say from a certain level, let's say academically speaking, from master's level, let's put it this way, or at least that's how it happened to me, and that's how I see it. I think you shouldn't really care if it's an easy piece or difficult. And actually, this is something that has been ringing in my mind a lot because precisely of an interview that Judical gave with Lukasz Korpachevsky
Mm-hmm.
about playing easy pieces when it's never easy to play at a certain level when we have a certain awareness of musicality, of fingerings, of music making generally. It's irrelevant whether the piece is easy or hard because even when it's easy, for us to present something which satisfies us, it's much more difficult, right?
Yeah.
And then in the end, I think, I mean, does the audience really care? Unless it's colleagues or like I don't know, it's guitarists, But many times we're not playing for guitarists. So personally, yeah, I don't care because I think yeah, you can still present a good product with whether with yeah, lagrim or with I don't know, difficult.
Tedesco Sonata or something. I mean, the
Yeah,
the other
exactly.
the other point to make is that you, hopefully, you're not only playing for guitarists, right?
Yeah,
The goal
definitely.
I think would be to play for people who don't know the repertoire. Hopefully, at least sometimes it's not bad to play for guitarists, but just
Yeah,
choosing your rep based on what guitarists find nice is also a strange decision. I feel like in the long term.
but many people do that, right? And
Right. Yeah.
the fact is that also it depends on the I think for instance if you this is not a critique or something to competition players, but for instance if you're very much around festivals, guitar festivals and guitar competitions, I think this mindset can be quite tempting, because you're always like pushing your repertoire a bit difficult wise for competition. You see a lot of people playing in an impressive way,
Yeah.
and and if you don't, you kind of just don't care about it. You just care really about presenting a good product, final product
Hmm.
that is pleasant, it's nice, it's also truthful to your artistic self.
Yeah, I mean, the
And
problem with choosing your program always based on guitar festivals or competitions is also that what happens when you stop doing those, because they are not forever a viable career path, right? So
hmm
at
yeah,
some
yeah, yeah,
at some points it's a question of, and I don't have it. I think there's nothing wrong with pushing yourself that way, but the problem is you don't. It doesn't. It's not an environment that encourages you to develop a concert program that's artistically satisfying for you and says something unique. It's not really an incentive in the competition scene to have a program that is, um, yeah, artistically innovative, or not even innovative, but just a unified vision that makes sense on the stage as like a presentation, artistic presentation.
yeah.
So
I think it's also so two things, right? Um, it can be a very healthy experience for your development, but it's a starting point,
yeah,
right? It's something that you kind of use to develop yourself, and then you need to, yeah, develop those ideas
beyond that, yeah.
and yeah,
So
and I
okay,
think actually, yeah. No,
um,
no,
nice to go straight into a controversial conversation about competitions,
no.
but
Sorry, I wanted to add. Yeah, I said two things, and then the second one I forgot. The second is also what mindset of competitions, right? Because when we put this general term out there, we kind of we kind of think of a jury basing themselves on who plays faster and stronger and stuff like this. And I think the more the guitar develops, the less this kind of criteria is in the competitions, and I think the more appealing it is um, for people who not necessarily are great virtuosos to still participate and to still get something out of it, right? Because I mean, if you look at the profiles of classical musicians in general, not just guitarists, right?
mhm.
The ones that we know, the I wouldn't say more famous, but yeah, the ones that we know, they're not always the monsters of the piano or of the violin, but maybe they have this really nice sensitivity while playing, or they have a really nice sense of structure, and this is something that I think could and should and very much will, for sure, be valued in competitions, don't you think?
I don't know. I think it depends on the region a bit. I have the sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not an expert and I haven't participated in the most competitions of anyone I know, but I have the sense that
Yeah.
in some regions there is more of an emphasis placed on speed and power,
Mm-hmm.
maybe at the expense. But of course, it's not true that those things are like that. If you have speed and power, it means you don't have good phrasing or articulation or you know
Yeah, yeah, of course. You can
interpretive
have both.
abilities. But I think there are some places, and I don't know. I have to say, I have the feeling. This might make me sound pretentious now that I've moved to Europe, but I have the feeling in North America you get rewarded more for these than in Europe. Um,
So in North America, you have more this kind of
I get the feeling
short
that,
and fast, and you're good.
yeah, fast and
Or
powerful, and then even if you play like wrong rhythms and articulations and things, no one's really gonna mind too much if you play really fast and really
mm-hmm,
virtuosically. Whereas I think that it's
mm-hmm,
harder to get away with that here, but that might just be, it could be just a biased opinion from me, but it also could be that the tradition is a bit older here, and so in the sense that, not older, but in the sense that there's more competition, so people are not as impressed by virtuosity. I don't know, you know.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
anyhow,
could be.
yeah, I don't know if
I
those.
never been there, so I can't really compare both. I just know reality here, and I know also, um, yeah, what our colleagues talk about. I've never been there, so unfortunately I can't. Yeah,
Yeah,
really
I don't know,
compare.
but the thing is, I don't know that competitions always reward the most artistic. Yeah, that sounds so silly to say, the most artistic way of playing. I
Mm-hmm.
get the feeling that they don't incentivize that as much as other things like grants or projects or concerts or I don't know.
Hmm.
Anyhow, but I think the point is good that we shouldn't always choose our repertoire just based on what a jury would want to hear. But of course, if you want to do competitions as part of your career and part of your development, then yeah, you have to think about this. Um, that goes without saying. Um, I wanted to know a bit more about your background because you mentioned that you're a singer. So what has your and you did do
Well,
a
I'm trying to be, kind of fresh in the business. Yeah.
yeah, but I'm just super interested to know how working as both a singer and a guitarist in tandem and studying both kind of simultaneously now. I know not forever, not for as long as
Yeah.
guitar, but how has that
Hmm.
affected how you approach music making and your development?
Uh, so first of all, it's a process, right? So it's a process that I started not so long ago, really. I found um, a teacher who I identified 100% just recently. So only now I can start building um, myself as a singer in the way I want.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, I what I did as a singer was mainly choir stuff, specifically opera choir stuff. So last year I was singing to opera choirs in here in Prezout in Utrecht and also in Aachen, and we're um, doing Offenbach in both of them, curiously. And um, and yeah, so that's let's say that's my situation right now as a singer. And back then I wasn't developing so much like my soul singing, let's say, and now I'm trying to develop a bit more just by a question of developing your own technique.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my situation as a singer right now. How it influences the way I see music. Mm, you know, um, that's a good question. So I think it's kind of like it activates different parts of your brain when I'm play or of my brain in this case when I'm playing guitar and when I'm singing. Most of the times when I'm singing, um, I don't have so much the general picture in account
Mm-hmm.
because when you're a guitar you're in full control of the music, right? But when you're singing, you either have the melody and someone is accompanying you, or you are part of the harmony. And of course, it's always nicer actually to have the general view of the piece that you're gonna sing. I'm talking about singing right now, but usually you are not mm, performing in the moment the general picture. You're performing your part as the best that you can. At least this is my experience, my very limited experience. And then you just hope it's the best possible. And with the guitar, you really have to always have the awareness. Where is the bass going? I think with guitar, you end up being more sort of a conductor in the terms of mindset than of a singer or of the orchestral player. If you know what I mean. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if
I
I'm
think
being clear.
so.
It's
I
not a
mean,
clear process for me either. I have to be very honest. But
yeah.
yeah, this is how well I can put it into words.
Yeah. Do you think maybe like cuz the same could be said for guitar in a chamber context though, no? I mean
Mm,
that cuz then
it
you
depends, right? Because if you're doing duo of guitar duo, sorry, it it's very much same roles, let's say. But if you're doing, for instance, as you do with Jessica, then I think we are put in this sort of accompanist role in which you are kind of responsible for holding it all together, right? So I think it depends on the context.
yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, yeah, I guess as a singer you aren't necessarily But I mean, you do lead as a singer if you're playing with like an accompanist. I mean,
Absolutely. But let's say that I don't know if you can say this in English. Maybe wrongly translating it from Portuguese. You make the bed of the of the of the group. You know
okay,
what I mean? Like you're the foundation, let's say, and of course you have to adapt to the singer, but ultimately, uh, let's say, if something happens while Jessica is playing, you just move on and you try to make sure that everything is
still happening.
as
Yeah,
good
yeah.
as possible. Yeah, exactly. But when the opposite happens, it's much more difficult for her to try to do something about it. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it's true. Yeah, if I get derailed, it's a big problem. That's a bigger problem for her for sure because as the singer, she can't sort of. Well, she can keep going,
Yeah.
but
At least this is the mindset. I also play with singers, guitar and singing, and actually in this is very nice that I know a bit of both worlds or more one than the other. Let's say
hmm
because I know that as a singer I like to have um, the most stable company besides besides me. Let's say that, the, and that's what I try to be as well.
hmm yeah, I often have the feeling working with singers that they appreciate stability more than even accuracy. Sometimes,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
absolutely.
I've worked with singers where I feel like I play kind of like shit because I miss a lot of notes or something, and then they say like, "Oh, you're so easy to work with. This is great." And I realize it's because I had good rhythm. I followed their cues. I did a lot of things. I mean, if they knew the piece better, and these are situations maybe where they're jumping in and we're rehearsing fast and that kind of thing, and it's not like something where we both know the music super super well. It's kind of reading together or whatever. But
Yeah,
I have the feeling sometimes as a chamber partner, a lot of those other things that have to do with people fitting together matter so much more than what we value as solo guitarists all the time, which is like playing fast and perfect and.
of course. I think
So
that happens with every harmonic instrument, right? So if you go with the soloist mindset, in which everything has to be clean, blah blah, uh, then if something happens, what are you gonna do? So I
yeah.
think it's better to understand, have more of an understanding behind of what's behind the music, let's say,
hmm
then put put 100% of your energy into the fingerings. And I don't know, it happened to me at least many times, not only with singers in chamber music, that I did my fingerings very religiously,
hmm
and then I then I go to play with them, and it just doesn't work. I don't know. um, I just have to kind of push another button in my brain and just say, okay, don't worry about that part too much, of course, because you also have to take care of your technique always. At least I have, otherwise I get injuries. So I
hmm
try always to take care of that part, but not too much that if something happens and you for some reason that fingering fails, you have somewhere else to go because you know what's happening musically.
Yeah. Well, also the bigger point is that when you play chamber music, you have to rehearse quickly, often, and efficiently. So in that
Yeah,
sense, I get
yeah,
the feeling that you can't have the soloist mindset where you like practice everything very carefully. You write it all in the score. You spend hours like
yeah,
drilling it with a metronome. Blah blah blah. No, it doesn't work
yeah,
because maybe you have a gig in 1 week with this person, and you get to the
yeah,
rehearsal, and they're like, either they say it or you notice like, okay, my fingering makes the texture totally not work for them.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so then you have to choose a new fingering on the fly that achieves the right effect to accompany them. And to do that, you have to be adaptable and fast, and you have to be okay with dropping a few notes, maybe. Um, you know,
yeah.
or for example,
Especially with singers, I think these are the species that you have to be more adaptable with everything really.
yeah, but like for example, I played me and Jessica obviously because we're voice and guitar duo. Obviously, we play the Faya Siete Canciones,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
we played for a pianist in Amsterdam. Marta Liabana, who works there, and she's a great coach. She's a vocal coach, but also a pianist, and she's Spanish, and she plays a lot of Spanish music. So this was really
Wow,
great because
that's the person you want to go to.
yeah,
That sounds really ideal. Yeah,
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 exactly. It was great, and so I used the Jaume Torrents version of the Faya,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Polo, yeah, the seventh one.
Yep.
It has cross string for those repeated beats, like the first part, those repeated B's. And I was doing it cross string because that's what it says, and it's actually much easier cross string. But basically, Marta was like, "Yeah, it should really sound like on the piano, where you're like on the same key, you know."
Uh huh.
And so in that moment, I had to adapt at full tempo with Jessica, playing a totally other articulation, And it's not like a guitarist couldn't say that, but it's situations like that where you're in the rehearsal and you just have to do it, that
Yeah.
you kind of break out of that mindset that solo guitarists get stuck in, where you have lots of time to prepare everything and it always has to be meticulous, and I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And do you still do that option by curiosity?
Yes, yeah, it works much better and it sounds much better. um
Okay.
I mean, of course I went home and drilled it, but the thing is,
Yeah.
in the moment I was still able to do it. But yeah, I think you have to have a different mindset for sure. So
Yeah.
Jose Carlos Guerrero says, "What a cool turtleneck! You must read a lot of books."
What did he say? I'm not seeing the comment.
He says, "What a cool turtleneck! You must read a lot of books."
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah. No, most of them are really Magdalenas because I'm a terrible reader. But unfortunately, now with quarantine, no, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start reading and blah blah blah. But the only book that I have here that I didn't read, so bad, Jesus. So yeah, I try to make myself read it just to read something, But I don't know. I don't. Do you know these sort of action movies, Hollywood style, with lots of special effects
Yeah, yeah,
and terrorist stuff,
yeah.
which usually involves yeah, racist stuff as well. So there's a lot of that shit in that book, and I'm like, nah, no.
You couldn't keep reading it. I actually usually wear turtlenecks on the stream, so the fact that I didn't wear a turtleneck today is an exception. So at least you did.
Sorry, I didn't wear what?
I didn't wear a turtleneck today, even though I usually do on the stream. So at least you did. Thank you for making up for my lack of turtleneck. Great.
No props.
Well, okay. So I guess we didn't really talk about your life story, but that's okay. We talked about chamber music, so that's good. I'm gonna ask you the gotcha question of the stream, the most difficult question to answer, I think, that I asked this whole show.
Boy.
How do you
Okay.
define classical guitar?
Okay, that's like general. Okay. Phew. How do I define classical guitar? I'm sorry, I'm gonna go full cliche.
Okay.
Are you ready? The guitar is like a small orchestra.
Okay.
It's too cliche, but it's really how I see it. And I must say, in my defense,
Okay, but that doesn't help anyone.
not
If someone asks you on the street and you say that, they're gonna be like,
okay, but that's a different. Okay, sorry, I forget also that we are being streamed. I have to be honest, it's feels like a convo on 101. Okay,
no, no. Okay. You can go with your orchestra metaphor if you want. It's okay. So you were saying,
really cheap one that I yeah. But no, but I mean, I think there are also people that see it more, in a pianistic way, for instance,
mm-hmm.
and they don't really think about or they do, but they think in a different way. So let's say less colors and more, solid.
Counterpoint
Sound.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how to expand more on it to be very honest. I think in terms of downsides of the guitar, it's definitely the volume. I mean, and But on the other hand, it's an harmonic instrument who can produce vibrato, which this sounds a very silly, you know, thing, but I think it's very nice when you can combine, both textures in which one is accompanying and the other one you can do a bit of vibrato. I think that's something that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
You can do on a clavichord, okay, but generally, that's I think that's pretty unique.
Yeah, I always.
All the other because I'm sorry that I'm so resistant to to say something even, but I feel that also many of the stuff don't I don't see it. I mean, it is an instrument and stuff, but if usually if I see it being treated like an intimate instrument, then it gets too intimate. I don't know. It gets too boring for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's definitely how I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, really vague again. Yeah, but
No, I mean it makes sense. I yeah, it's just super hard to define. I mean, if you go down the road of trying to define it physically or in terms of repertoire,
uh-huh.
it becomes problematic.
Well, repertoire is kind of an issue, right? When you
Yes.
compare it to piano, to violin, to singing, and so on. Um, and actually, can I do questions here, or you're the
Oh
one
yeah,
who
no,
is?
you asked me. It's all good.
What's your take on repertoire and because I think there's this problem that you know how should I put this? So music originally for guitar by guitar composers is usually quite different from music originally from guitar for guitar by non-guitar composers,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I've heard like of philosophies of like you should only play guitarist composers because um, that's what fits the instrument more. And I heard also the opposite. So in which are you anywhere in both or in between, or you just think that's silly? Or yeah, I
Well,
have I have no opinion about it to be honest, but I cannot see these two
um,
dimensions.
I think it's a bit of a false dichotomy, in the sense
Mm-hmm.
that okay, so actually my research that I just finished for my master's in
Yes,
Maastricht,
it must have been a pain.
I passed. I passed, thankfully.
Nice.
My research topic is on how guitarists and composers collaborate together.
Oh,
Um,
that's very nice. And let me add that my former teacher has a doctoral thesis, a whole doctoral thesis on that, the relationship between the composer and the interpreter. Yeah,
yeah, that's basically my topic, so I should talk to him. Dejan, right? Ivanovich.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
cool. But yeah, so the reason I wanted to do this topic is partly because of this problem you mentioned. So I think there's a couple of reasons why. Some people treat the guitar as if it's just this like super weird instrument that's hard to write for. And while that's true to an extent, I think the bigger issue is that composers don't learn about the guitar in a traditional education. It's not in the
Mm-hmm.
orchestra, it's not
Yeah.
in any standard ensembles, and it's not in orchestration books and classes. Which, by the way, if it was in orchestration books and classes, I don't think it would help because probably they would give a super weird simplified version of it that wouldn't explain all the advantages of the guitar,
Uh huh.
which are kind of actually the reasons that the guitar is hard to write for are also the reasons that it's great to write for because all the limitations it has are also its own like possibilities, right?
Yeah. Actually, that's a very
So
good point. Yeah.
I mean that's what a lot of people who work with a lot of composers have told me is that well, okay, I'm not going to spoil it. You can watch my documentary I'm making for my research later when I release it. But there are many different approaches you can take. But one really interesting approach I heard was that people said you could um, try to sell the guitar to a composer
Yeah. Yeah. I understand.
as only with the positive side, with the possibilities, and then clean up the score later in the sense of what they do that doesn't make sense because then you have a better idea of what they're trying to do with the guitar, with texture, with all these kinds of things.
But that can go both ways, right? Like it can uh like I feel that the perhaps the greatest issue when writing in guitar is tessitura, really, the register of the guitar.
Yeah,
How to combine, you know, the bo- the several registers, because you really have to know very well which note goes to which string, for instance, right?
yeah. So, for example, this is one approach, but that requires a lot of cleanup, obviously. But you get an honest idea of what the composer wanted to do, and you get them thinking very imaginatively on the instrument. Then
Mm-hmm.
other composers and guitarists said, well, it's better if you check early sketches super early, even when they're just like rhythms or just basic melodies without clear rhythm or structure, just to give and chords, like different chords. Like one composer said, yeah, I had this chord progression, and before I even developed the progression further, I took it to the guitarist and asked, are these possible, and he helped me revoice the chords before I started doing a bunch of other stuff with them. So, you know, that also works because you eliminate ideas that aren't working right away, and then the composer can run with the ones that do. Anyways, there are lots of different ways to do it, but I think, like, for me, um, I think it's a false dichotomy to say that music written by guitarists is not of high quality, and also it's a false dichotomy to say that music written by composers who aren't guitarists is not playable. It just depends on two
Yeah.
basic factors, which are, did the composer work with the guitarist, and did they do their work to understand not only the guitar before they started writing, but also the feedback the guitarist was giving them during the writing process
Okay.
from their drafts? And then on the other side, is the composer who's writing for guitar actually trained as a composer, or is he just a guitarist, she or he just a guitarist playing around on their
Mm.
instrument in their room and writing down what they come up with, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. Makes total sense.
I think, I there's a lot of guitar music out there written by guitarists that I think is high quality. There's a lot of it that's questionable quality, I would say. You know,
Hmm.
um, and then there's a lot
From
of
both
things.
of the sides,
Sorry.
let's say, right? From both of these dichotomy sides that we're talking about, right?
Yeah, but the solution is only better knowledge between both guitarists and composers, so that guitarists learn how to compose better and composers learn how
Yeah.
to write for guitar better. But I do think it is true to say that composers who write for guitar who are not guitarists come up very often with unique ideas that a guitarist would not come up with. And that's
Yeah.
why I tend to play more of that stuff, because it
Hmm.
may be more difficult or require more editing, but the result is often something unique. So
A bit more revolutionary, let's say, right?
yeah,
In regarding to what's out there.
yeah, but I think that the ideal situation should always be that they have a guitarist to talk to and reference, and a composer shouldn't enter into it, I don't think, if they're not a collaborative person. Um,
Hmm.
for example, one of the reasons I chose this research topic was because in Canada there's a really nice program called the Class Axe program, where they take applications from young composers who are interested in writing for guitar for the first time. Um, and many young composers actually do sign up for it because they end up getting like multiple premieres out of it. So how it works is they take in all these composers, they pair them with guitarists, and the guitarists and the composers read each other's bios and each other's proposals and try to pick people they think they fit with. And then they work with that person for a year on a new piece, and then the piece gets premiered in every city in Canada by different guitarists in every city.
That sounds really good.
So it's
That
really great
sounds really
because
amazing.
the piece gets played by multiple people, and usually the pieces that come out of this program work super well on the guitar and have a fresh idea, because the composers coming to it are motivated already by applying to do something, interesting and to understand the instrument. And
Yeah.
a lot of the pieces I've seen from that, some of which I've played, are like, by far better than many attempts by composers to write for the guitar for the first time, just because of the structure of the program.
And so you don't think that there's let's say a problematic within the repertoire, comparing to the piano and to the violin and whatever cello, we can go on orchestral repertoire, in which um you know Sor and Giuliani are very nice, you know, but
Yeah.
can we really compare it to Beethoven and Mozart, for instance,
Well, I don't
or
pretend
Schumann
to.
and so on? So do you think this is a problem, or do you think it's not? And if you think it is a problem, do you see as a solution to how do you say, order new compositions? I forgot the word.
Commission.
Yeah, yeah, commission new compositions, or do we need to take a different look to repertoire? Or what's your take on it?
Well, I mean, okay. First of all, about Sor and Giuliani, I don't pretend to know enough about 19th century music to judge them next to Beethoven and
Okay. Okay.
Mozart. And to be honest, I don't like much of that music enough to say that I would care to know which is better.
Okay. Boom.
Because no, it's not that I hate that stuff. It's just that like for me, I have a hard time really getting into
It doesn't
Beethoven,
speak to you, let's
Mozart.
say.
Yeah, it doesn't speak to me. Um, from the music that speaks more to me, music from the 20th century and Baroque music and stuff. Well, obviously Baroque music we can't talk about this because there wasn't guitar music, unless you want to
Yeah.
count vihuela in Baroque guitar music. But okay, um,
Yeah.
which is a different instrument. In the 20th century, I mean, I think we finally got some high caliber composers who were guitarists, and maybe, but
Okay.
then again, maybe the ones in the 19th century were. I just can't judge that. Um, uh, when it comes to commissioning music, I don't see like. So wait, are you saying that commissioning music is kind of a cop out, or we should just have that within our people who are guitarists?
It's kind of a what? Sorry.
A cop out, like, what's the issue with commissioning pieces?
No, no, no. There's no issue of. I mean, I think it's amazing that you commission pieces. I mean, it's we're just enriching the repertoire, right? I was just asking if there is this lack of repertoire, if the solution is to commission a new repertoire, or if we just need to look at it in a different way. That was my question basically.
Well, I mean, I think the solution is well. I think we should be commissioning new repertoire anyways,
Yeah,
um, because we want to enrich it, and then we should also be trying to be discerning about which guitar repertoire we play from guitar composers, and hoping that there are more guitarists who study composition in a deep way. Even if they, I don't mean they have to get a composition degree. You know, that's not my point. My point is
hmm
that we need guitarists who are classical guitarists. I'm speaking now for classical music. Pop music and
yeah,
folk music and all this is a different thing and wonderful in its own way. But in terms of our repertoire, we need
yeah,
guitar composers who really commit to being good composers, not just good guitarists who write some interesting music. Let's say it's fine if people want to do that, but I'm just saying that like to enrich our repertoire, both things are necessary. I think. I'm interested to work with.
I'll stop asking questions
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
Sorry, I'm.
I'm doing you an interview.
Yeah, yeah,
But
I know.
yeah, I think we'll just hang out later and then I'll ask them about
Sounds
it.
good, yeah. Okay. Well, now that I've wasted a bunch of time talking about my research, which was not the point of this interview, uh, do you want to play again, Philippe? Before we're going to go to the repertoire listening game test soon, so everyone can look forward to that. But
You're the boss, man.
yeah, how about you play us some a mazurka
Mmm, tasty.
by a great guitar composer?
All right, man. Let's go.
What are you playing? Just for the audience.
So it's Mazurka Appassionata by Agustin Mangore.
Nice. Let's hear it.
Sorry, Agustin Mangore Barrios. Sorry,
Agustin Barrios Mangore, I think, yeah.
Barrios Mangore. Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. Thank you.
Very nice. Super.
Sorry, this is something actually I usually say to Magdalena. I'm not supposed to say it in public, but I just said it, so.
Nice. Sounds great, man. I love that piece. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah. Nice. Well, you ready for the classical repertoire listening test? Classical guitar repertoire listening test?
Yeah, when you said classical repertoire, I was like, oh, there are instruments, and then I was like, no.
No, just guitar. Okay, so this is the part of the show where I make the guest.
Should I wear headphones, do you think?
No, I don't think it matters, as long as you can hear. Okay, this is the part of the show where I make my guest listen to some guitar recordings, and you have to guess the piece, the composer, or the player.
Okay.
So there's a possible 3 points per piece, per recording.
Sure.
I'll give you some hints. Also, you can ask the audience for help. So if you get really lost, you can say.
I'm gonna do that because I can't see the audience right now.
No, but I can watch the comments and tell you.
Okay, all right, that would be kind. Thank you.
Yes, but you're only allowed to do that once.
Okay.
And there are 3 levels. There's beginner, intermediate, and advanced. Okay, you ready?
All right, let's go.
Okay. Alrighty. So level 1, beginner pieces. Name this composer or this piece or this player. One moment. Okay, there we go. Oh, I have to share my sound with you through Zoom. One moment. There we go. Now it should be working. Okay. Oh.
And it's from it's from a choral. I don't know the name though. I'm gonna try to guess. It's something like Auf den Stimme. No, it's not. But yeah, it's Bach and it's from a choral.
Yes, it's Bach. It's from a choral. Sorry, I was having trouble with the. Oh, we disappeared. Yes. Sorry, everybody. I'm having trouble because my webcam stopped working, so I'm having to improvise a little bit here. So I got the screen back. Sandra Rodriguez says, "If you don't guess, Maggie punches you with a fork." Yes, stabs you with a fork.
And the player. I'll
Do you want to hear the
my
beginning?
first? Okay, yeah. Let's put it again.
Okay, the beginning.
It's David Russell.
Sorry?
It's David Russell.
Yes, it's David Russell. Wow, very good. And it's a Bach chorale. So you know what? I'll give you the piece because you know it's a Bach chorale. It's Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring.
Yeah.
Not stabbing, punching. How do you punch someone with a fork? I don't understand, Sandro.
I think you do it like this, and somehow you put the knife between your fingers, and then you. Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, wow, very violent.
It's a Portuguese thing, you know. We do this to people we don't learn. I'm joking.
Right.
Okay.
Oh man. Okay. Number 2, second piece. So in that one you got 3 out of 3. Very good, Filipe.
Okay.
With imagination. Also, Sandro is saying Portuguese things in the chat. Aposto que estiveste estudar a noite toda. What does that mean?
I don't know, man. I have to admit I didn't quite understand. But don't worry. Don't
Okay.
in general don't pay attention to what Sandro says. I mean.
Okay. So I shouldn't try to read Portuguese on the stream, is what you're saying.
I mean, at least I didn't understand it. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Okay, number 2, beginner category.
That's
Scarlatti, yes.
and,
Which Scarlatti?
no, but please continue because I wanted to listen to who was playing.
No, but which Scarlatti is it?
K1.
K1. Ah, very good. Yes. Any idea?
I want to ask for a little hint. Is it
Yes.
from a CD? Everything is from a CD, right?
Everything is from a CD. It's all on Spotify. But this player wrote a very famous technique book.
Oh, is
Mm-hmm.
he an American player?
Yes, actually.
Oh, it's Scott Tennant, I would say.
Scott Tennant. Yes, Scott Tennant's playing
That's
K1.
really nice. I didn't know he had a recording of this. It sounds really nice.
Yeah, the CD is called Mysterious Barricades.
Okay, yeah. I know which it is. Yeah, cool.
Baroque masterpieces for guitar. Yeah. Okay. Number 3 of the easy category.
Fandango from the Spanish Christian.
Not Fandango. I'll give you one more try.
Sorry. No. You're right. Zapateado.
Zapateado. Yes, Zapateado by Rodrigo.
Yes.
And who's playing?
I didn't hear it enough.
Do you want to hear the beginning? You're so fast.
I was too enthusiastic. I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Do you hear it now?
Can you put it just one more time? Few seconds.
Do you want a hint? I can give you a hint for the player.
Can you give me a hint?
This player teaches in Germany.
Oh, is he um Balkan player?
Nope.
Teaches in Germany. It's a damn huge country, man. Um, in an university, in a Hochschule.
Hochschule, yeah.
Okay.
Precies. You want me to just tell you?
Yeah.
It's Dale Kavanaugh.
I wouldn't. Where does she study? Sorry, teaches actually.
Detmold.
Ah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Canadian player. Okay, so 2 out of 3.
Which city is it, by the way?
It's called Invocación, I think. Let me see.
Ah, yeah. Where she also plays Invocación, right?
Oh no, it's just Dale Kavanaugh plays Rodrigo. It's just an extra CD called
Oh.
Dale Kavanaugh plays Rodrigo.
Okay, so-
But yeah, she also plays Invocación on the CD. Okay, so beginner category, Philippe, you got 8 out of 9. Very good.
Not bad.
Nice job. Yeah. Okay, we're on to intermediate now. You ready?
I was born ready. That's a solitude, but I don't know the number.
Soritude. Okay, well, you know what? Soritude is good enough to get the piece and the composer.
Okay, good. Can I listen one more time and then
Yeah.
I tell the player.
Do you know?
Do can I have a hint or
No, I think this player is too distinctive to give a hint.
sorry? What did you say about that player?
Is too distinctive to give a hint.
Uh
Sorry?
sounds a bit like Segovia, but I'm
You want to hear a bit
very
more?
doubt. No hints.
Nope.
It's not Segovia, huh?
Nope, not Segovia. There's your hint.
But is it oh man, I don't know, Bream?
Bream, yes, you got it.
Oh really?
Yes.
It's really like whatever distinctive sounded to my mind. I said it. Okay, cool, nice.
There you go. Yeah. Wow, you're just killing it so far. Only 1 point missed.
Okay.
Okay. Any idea?
Wow, man, I never heard that in my life, but it sounds something classical romantic. So can I ask stuff or
One question.
one question? Is it originally written for guitar?
Yes.
Okay, I never heard this thing, so I'm just gonna try to guess. Is it a Legnani Caprice?
Yes, it's a Dynamic Caprice.
Okay. Uh, and the player, man, that sounds so high. I didn't know the guitar could play a D. I was like, is this a mandolin or? Can you
Um,
put just one?
yeah. I mean, it's obviously on
I
a
don't know.
19th century guitar, right?
Sorry, sorry.
It's obviously on a 19th century guitar, right?
Oh, okay. So that's why it has such a high notes.
Yeah, such high sound.
Okay. Player. Um, I'm gonna go with Starobin.
No, it's Pavel Steidl.
I wouldn't. I wouldn't guess. I don't know. I don't know who he's playing so well.
Okay, there you go. Well, you're still doing great. So far, 3 out of 3 and 2 out of 3 in this category. Next one. Oh, sorry. Wait. Not this. It's this.
Uh,
Sorry?
it's I have nightmares with that because I played that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the seventh Fantasia of Telemann.
Yeah. How did you know? Wow. I didn't know you played this piece. I shouldn't have picked it. And who's the player?
Yeah, no, it didn't go so well. I forgot.
Who's the player?
It's Carlo, no?
Carlo Marchione. Your former teacher and my current teacher, yes. Nice. Okay.
Nice.
Wow, you're also 8 out of 9 in the intermediate category. You are gonna like win the leaderboard if you keep this up.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Let's see now the hard one.
Advanced. I have to confess, I don't think I made it so hard because I thought that okay, I was trying to be kind, but I shouldn't have been.
Can you put maybe other section of the piece?
Just listen. You want to hear the beginning?
Yeah, please, please.
Any idea?
I have no idea, but I was enjoying it so much. Is it originally for guitar?
No, it's non-guitar music. That's why you liked it so much.
uh, I was gonna go, but I don't think it is with Piazzolla.
No,
Uh,
no.
no, I have no idea of anything. Player,
Not even the player?
not even the player.
Okay, it's Scriabin. Prelude and Nocturne for the left hand, transcribed for guitar, played by. No? No idea?
No, no,
Okay, you could have called in for help, you know. It's played by Judica Perwa.
Oh man, it sounds amazing. Which CD is that?
It's a CD of music related to Paris. What
Oh,
is the CD called? Paris
ne-
in Solitude. It's hard to read from here, but he has a CD of music that has to do with Paris, was written in Paris, or etc.
okay, beautiful.
Yeah. So you better remember you have two more tracks, and you can also ask for help. I mean, there's not a lot of people watching, but maybe Sandri or Sandro can help you.
Okay,
We'll
cool.
see. So if you need help, just say it. Okay, next one.
That's François de Fossat.
Yes.
Um, but I always get the name wrong.
If you can name the movement, it's okay also.
No, not the isn't it like Divertimento or something like this?
Nope.
Wait, shit. Not Fantasia either, right?
No.
Ah,
Oh wait, no. Premiere Fantasia, yeah, is the piece, but it's the rondo. And who's playing?
can you put it again to figure that out?
Yes.
Goran?
Sorry?
Is it Goran Krivokapic?
No, it's Paolo Pegararo.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But 2 out of 3. Not bad. 2 out of 3. Good job. Okay, last one. You may want the audience's help on this one. And I see Leo's tail is watching, so you could really get some good help here.
Okay.
Okay, last one.
Yeah, that's Mercury Marie.
What?
I
How
played it.
how do you know this piece? I thought this was gonna be the hardest one.
No, I played it. Fortunately, yeah, it's the year before I went to my bachelor's. Can you put it again for the interpreter?
Yeah, Theme and Variations by Lennox Barkley. Um,
Yeah, that's Bream, right?
no, it's not Bream. It's a British guitarist though, but it's not Bream. Second, I'll give you one last guess.
Isn't what's his name? Um, Graham Devine, Anthony Graham
Yeah,
Devine.
Graham Devine, dude. How do you know this? Crazy.
actually, actually, I did. Yeah, I just guessed. Actually, I
Honestly,
never heard it by him.
I go to the Graham Devine this CD. He has all this like unknown British music. This is like where I go for like the hardest in the advanced category. But you just knew it. Crazy. That's
Cool.
insane. Okay, so in beginner you got 8 out of 9. Intermediate you got 8 out of 9, and advanced you got 5 out of 9. I think this is the highest score I've ever seen, Philippe.
Good to know.
You got 21 out of 27. That's like unheard of.
You made it too easy.
No, I didn't. You guessed in the first 2 categories. You guessed the player perfectly every time. Crazy.
Cool.
Um. All right, let's move on.
Sure.
Yeah. So you talked before a little bit about how the relationship between singing and guitar has affected a bit, or not has affected. I guess you talked about how you view the processes differently. You know, has it changed
Mhm.
the way you practice at all, or no? Guitar, I mean.
Mm, at some point, yeah, because at least something that I'm thinking a lot about singing now is in terms of projection.
Okay.
So I was trying to bring that to guitar, but it it kind of didn't work out because then it started to get too dirty really because I wasn't focusing then on the cleaning part of playing. If you know what I mean, like the buzzes and so on. Um, so yeah, what was the question again? Sorry,
So, I mean,
I
in
got a
what
bit lost.
ways has studying singing affected the way
Oh yeah.
you play and practice
So
guitar?
that in that which was, it was like a month or something. I realized I need actually a bit of a separation between both, and that's why I was telling you about one activating one side of me and the other another side. Um, because I don't feel I play differently because of singing. To be honest,
Hmm. Interesting. It doesn't
so
change how you approach like legato or anything. Okay, interesting.
maybe it does, but I don't feel it. To
It's
be
maybe
honest,
subconscious or something.
perhaps.
Yeah. How do you like to practice in general? What are the ways you think practicing, or what are the ways you practice what you find effective for yourself or useful?
Well, ideally is one thing, right? But the reality is another. But I think ideally, I try to prioritize what's more difficult for me, which bar, which passage, whatever. After I read the score, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would go there uh, first. Not necessarily with metronome, for instance, but first to understand how will it work for the fingers, which fingering will be most effective. Um, yeah, I would start by that. So read the score. What are the most difficult passages, and what are the better fingerings for for them? And also for the entire piece, I try to be as careful as possible with yeah, which fingering, and also mm, besides the fingering, like how do my fingers feel in general in this piece and in this passage. That's something really important. And then there's also, I find, kind of a process of um, you know being very complex in the beginning of practicing a piece, and simplifying as the closer I get to the performance, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise I just start overthinking, and if that's what we was discussing a while ago, if this fingering is not working, then I try to not go there while I'm performing. I try to really let myself go and just think about music, because I already thought a lot about what are my fingers gonna do, let's say like this.
Right. So you try to have a different mindset between practicing and performing.
Yeah, yeah, I try to be as analytical as possible when I practice,
Yeah.
and I try to let go as much as possible in the days prior to the performance and in the day of the performance.
Yeah. Hmm.
Of course, that's not always the case, right?
Yeah.
At least for me, these are my rules. I break them, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's my ideal.
Cool. Do you have any tips for people with like technique or a specific exercise you use? Anything you want to demonstrate?
Yeah, sure. It's not an exercise actually, and I think it's quite a tiny thing, but it helped me tremendously. So basically, it's about thinking that the armpit should be open while you play, sort of like as if you would have a tennis ball in
Yeah.
there. And what this and this was really useful for me because I was struggling a lot with the position of the thumb, and also the and which I didn't know at the time, with the position of the elbow. So I knew that something was wrong with my thumb, and then I discovered it had to do with my elbow, and this elbow thing had to do with this um, feeling that this sensation that I'm describing. Um, yeah, this actually came. I have to put the credits on this from Alex Garrobe. I had one masterclass with him, and he told me about this. And at the time, I actually didn't really understand. But then I had a class with a student of a former student of him, Anders Clemens, the Norwegian guitarist. I don't know if you know him. And he explained me again, and then it was a bit clearer. And curiously enough, at the time, I still didn't really incorporate it in my playing. But 1 or 2 years ago, sorry, I started to implement like quite deep changes in my technique in my left hand, and this really helped me a lot with correcting the elbow and with understanding the position of my thumb, curiously enough.
Hmm.
And the other last thing I I would like to say with this is that this it's not really an universal thing, and I think that you know this can work for me and it can work from the people that it came from, but maybe it doesn't work for everyone. So I think we should all like just try and see if it works for us, and if it doesn't, well, we just move on. I'm just saying this because many times we feel, or I think many people feel that if it doesn't work for me, and maybe I'm doing something wrong or something like this.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to stress that if it doesn't work for you, it's fine. Just of course try to adapt a bit, and but if it doesn't work, yeah.
Yeah,
So, but
we're
very
individuals with
important.
our own bodies, you know. So
Yeah, exactly. But I had many times this feeling, like for instance, there are many preconceived ways of where should the thumb go, and many people have this really like rigid position. It should go between this finger and that finger, or and so on and so on. And I felt bad when it didn't work for me, and it took me some years to research and to get another other opinions. And yeah, actually the thumb left hand thumb for me was really an issue for many years.
yeah, I think about this when I'm teaching because, well, the reality is, I mean, I have a number of students who are not playing classical guitar, but who I'm still nevertheless working with them on position, holding the guitar, etc. Even if
Yeah,
you're not using a footstool, not using the same elevated position if you're playing electric guitar, but you have to find a position that works for the music you're playing, right?
yeah,
And then also, of course, with my classical students, I have the feeling that yeah, there are. It's very hard to give universal answers, but it's always important to help them analyze the effectiveness of what they're doing. So that's kind of the approach I try to take is seeing. Of course, I can see them a little bit. It's a bit easier when you have someone else watching you than you yourself. But for me, I can watch them and use all the knowledge I have about technique and about playing effectively and playing accurately to try to
yeah.
diagnose their position, but for them, not as a universal. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I think as a teacher you have to have, let's say, the tools and the knowledge to just correct them, according to those tools and knowledge. But and there are things that are supposedly universal until the moment that they are not, if you
yeah,
know what I mean.
yeah.
But you just have this, and then you just correct it according to this, right? At least
Yeah,
that's how I.
but my point is that it's dependent entirely on, not entirely, it's dependent largely, not entirely, but largely on what's actually creating an effective movement without stress for that student that works the most in
Mhm.
the music, right? And that can
Yeah,
change based on their body, the way they hold the guitar, and the way they hold the guitar could change based on their body or based on the music they want to play or based on a lot of factors.
yeah.
So yeah, there is no universal. I mean, that's the problem with things like technique books is they're at best a guide.
Yeah, and I think we should consider them as valuable references, not as, I don't know,
Mhm.
the absolute truth.
Yeah.
Let's say, I actually found a book. which, let's say, works very 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 well for me, which is, oh, I don't remember the exact title of, it's by Marco Tamayo. It's basically the, I think it's essential principles of interpreting guitar. I'm not sure, but
Mm-hmm.
it's something like this, and this really works for me. But I wouldn't dare to tell anyone like you should all, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
abide to. I mean, and I think that's the mistake sometimes of our world. It's like, for instance, the footstool thing versus ergo play. It really gets on my nerves when people are like, yeah, it should be ergonomic, so you should use ergo play or guitar lift or whatever, you know. And I
yeah,
think that's just so personal. You can't
yeah.
say that. I don't, because
Well,
you have, at the end of the day, you have guitarists who play in so many ways, who still have careers with a healthy technique,
yes,
you
that's
know.
the thing. I mean,
So
the reality is there's always someone out there who's going to be doing something that looks absolutely batshit crazy to you with their technique, and it works.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, absolutely.
and yeah, you have to know yourself, but you also have to check in with yourself all the time because it's not enough to say, "Oh, you figure it out." You know yourself. You know, it doesn't work like
Hmm.
that either.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and even these principles, I mean, we all have our own principles, but I think they are constantly changing, you know, slightly. But it's, I think, very essential to have our, let's say, technical certainty, so that we have a kind of a somewhere where to how do you say, somewhere where to rely on.
Yeah,
If I make myself clear.
yeah. When I work on technique every day, it's usually based on the most essential elemental motions I have to do. Um, Things like basic slurs, basic position, basic arpeggios,
Yeah,
so that I have all those elemental things, and then I can do them, execute them in the music well. And then, of course, the way of building those might look a little bit different for me than someone else, and the way I execute them will look different with my hand size, with my, my body, etc.,
yeah,
my exact position. But I have to have a very good handle on what those are for me. Otherwise, I can't, you know,
yeah.
express myself through the music.
Hmm.
Yeah, cool. Well, do you want to play something for us, Philippe?
Sure.
What would you like to play?
Uh,
Some Villalobos, some Regandi. What are you feeling?
I'm gonna go for Regondi.
Okay, so you're gonna play the Reverie, right?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
I'm going to attempt to use this other view. Ah, there we go. Nice. Okay. Wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
Very nice. Beautiful.
Thanks, man.
A lot of tremolo.
Sorry?
A lot of tremolo.
A lot of drama
Yes.
indeed.
Nice.
Actually, and thinking about it while I was playing, I lied about the influence of singing in playing. In this piece in specific, I have to admit, so it depends on the pieces as well, but I have to admit that in this piece, it really influenced me to think more on the, first of all, on the long lines, and second of all, uh, on making it, you know, in general, you kind of have this tendency to play not as fast as you can, but not to slow to drag so much the music when you're playing with a singer, right? Because otherwise she or he gets out of breath. And I try to, transport that general feeling to here, basically.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to in this kind of 19th century music, like yeah, these kind of big 19th century pieces to like let things stretch too much and then lose each larger phrase, lose it in some kind of like
Exactly.
extra
Yeah.
pauses, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really important, yeah, in this kind of music that you don't add those extra pauses because otherwise everyone's just like, where are we? You know,
Yeah.
we're lost in some strange dream world.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay, we are going to. Well, actually, before we play this game, I want to know what kind of programs do you like to play? Why do you choose the pieces that you do? What's your goal with like choosing repertoire and also in collaborating? Like, if you have chamber music, how do you choose programs for this? What's your philosophy of the repertoire you choose?
Oh, okay. So I actually have a lot of projects in the drawer regarding solo concerts with a theme. I'm more and more trying to create these thematic concerts because, well, quite frankly, because I've been told that that sells.
Yes.
But until now, I still didn't put it in practice. But I have like five or six um, like, but so projects with thematic concerts. The problem of that is that it's, for me at least, it's very hard to prepare mm, a whole new hour of repertoire like this, like
Yeah.
out of nothing, So that's why I still didn't get it out there. Um, so that's an idea for the future, but that's one way to go at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, for I was supposed to. It was cancelled by Mr. Coronavirus, but I was supposed to have a thematic concert with two singers and guitar of Spanish influenced uh, music, for instance. That's a sort of
Mm-hmm.
thematic concert example.
Yeah, I mean it's quite nice to
Uh,
have different things on the go too, because like Jessica and I have a program of all Spanish guitar and voice repertoire, but then my solo program right now is much more focused on 20th century solo pieces, although not entirely. But it's nice when you can switch from one like mode to the other in each project. I don't know. I find that really nice.
yeah, what I try to avoid is to, I don't know, at least that's my general education on how to program, is to, I try to create as much contrast as possible within the program. But for instance, now the choice of program from my side was quite selfish, let's say, because I was always um, using pieces that I had previously played, which now I use because, well, the new pieces that for today are Reverie, Mazurka Appassionata, and this the Julian variations. The rest I played before. but these three were three of the challenges that I put to myself simply because I wanted it. So I'm supposed to play a concert in July, and with this Corona thing, I just said, okay, I don't have anything coming up soon. Just in July, and in July I can come back to my usual repertoire because I also tend to play more 20th century repertoire, so not necessarily um, contemporary stuff. But for instance, one of my dearest pieces is, I don't know if you know, Fantasia Sonata by João Manen,
Yeah.
and Britain Nocturnal, and what else? Frank Martin, the four brief pieces. But the problem with those pieces is that you can't really, you know, put them all together in a program. Otherwise, I would gladly. Or I mean, it also depends on the audience, right? But I think generally, or at least how the way I've been taught, you should put like one of these pieces up there, and then sort of other contrasting pieces. If we're not talking again, if we are not talking about a thematic concert and just a normal solo concert with contrasting pieces on it.
I mean, you can
Other,
also find smaller pieces to fit. I mean, yeah, I agree. Those pieces, if you put a program of those pieces together, it's like
it
too
has to be, I
much.
think, a very specific occasion to put
Yeah,
that.
but also it's just like really exhausting for big pieces like that.
Yeah, but if I would have an audience of 40 mics, for instance, of 40 U's,
Yeah,
let's say,
yeah,
I would do it. But that's not always the case, and I'm not even talking about wow, Mike, you're so intelligent because you listen to 20th century. No, it's really about taste, you know.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm very well aware that not everyone would
yeah. Just like I wouldn't want
enjoy
to.
these with glued together in the same program, you know.
Yeah, just like I would have trouble is sitting through a whole program of Soar,
Exactly.
even if it's a great player, you know. So yeah,
And the other thing that I'm also trying to get comfortable with is as it's visible, I think, is with playing the greatest hits of the classical guitar, right? Because it's, I don't know, it's again something for us guitarists that we all have heard, but again, you're not always performing for guitarists, right?
yeah,
And truth be told, you know, these pieces like Asturias, like First Prelude of Viola Lobos, like Lagrima and Adelita, some way or another, had an important impact on ourselves even when we were getting into classical guitar, or
yeah.
Recuerdos de Alhambra, or Concierto de Aranjuez. At least in my case, it had,
Yeah, but I would
and
also say that for audiences who are not guitarists, they're kind of a blank canvas. So I think in some ways it's also okay to look for gems that fit that criteria, but maybe aren't exactly those hits. I don't know. You know?
what do you mean? Sorry.
You can also look for gems like small pieces that are really beautiful that are not the same hits
No,
as
of
that.
course, absolutely. But I think what I'm trying to say here is that you should have those gems. You should have also very juicy 20th century music. But I think there's nothing wrong into throwing a greatest hit in the middle
Yeah,
of that program.
no, for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that the interesting programs are the ones that tell a thematic concept or something, but with variety, and that's, I guess, the hard balance to strike,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Is to have both.
And you know, another reason why I still didn't get those projects out of the drawer is because um, personally, if I hear a concert without a theme, with the theme being just having the most contrast as possible, I'm very well pleased. I don't. As a listener, I don't find it a
Problematic, yeah.
requisite. or something obligatory for me to enjoy, or I will not even enjoy more the concert, to be honest, if it's a thematic concert, just because there's a theme. I get that there is people that will, as players and as listeners, but I'm not. I'm just not one of them. Man.
Yeah. I think I do better when there's a narrative arc. I don't know, but it depends a lot on the player. It depends a lot on the repertoire. I mean, the problem is that I think choosing repertoire is like anything else as a guitarist. There's no one way to do it. I'm sensing a theme here in our conversation, Philippe.
We should make a concert based on this conversation.
Yeah, there's not only one way to do it. Just play with a completely different technique in every piece.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. One piece normally, and then you can switch like.
Yeah, you can have like the Thibaut Garcia kind of right hand, and then like the Javier Jara kind.
Yeah. Absolutely. Actually, that reminds me of. Do you know this French guitarist Jeremy Jouve?
Yeah, yeah,
Man, that guy he really plays with all the different angles of the right hand, and he actually in a masterclass he was showing an exercise in which he goes from the sixth string to the first one like this. So sorry, like this. I can't do it, and
wow.
if you pay attention to it, he actually does that in his playing. I find that I don't know remarkable.
Yeah, that's
That
crazy.
he
I would have so much trouble changing all the time like that, but
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I guess he has like a fixed position, and then he goes around it. But even just having the ability to go around it so much for me is remarkable. I
yeah, it's crazy. William Hill says, "Lovely Tariga. Sorry I came in so late to the messy desk. Love listening and learning. Thank you, William."
don't know. Thanks, grazie, William.
William is always in the chat, and I love seeing him here. So it's nice to see repeat people.
I never
Um,
met. Wait, did you meet William personally?
William Hill, no. Do you know him?
Oh, sorry. I thought because I'm not seeing the names. I just heard William. Um. Okay, no. I thought we were talking about a former colleague of
Oh,
ours.
okay. No, no, no. William Hill
Never
is
mind.
I
Okay.
think he's from. I think anyways, he's a friend
Okay.
of Tim's, I
Thanks,
think.
William. Then it doesn't make any sense that I spoke Italian.
Yes, but it's nice to see William here. Okay, let's play a game, Philippe. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
It's gonna be classical guitar. Would you rather?
Oh, nice.
Okay.
That's hot.
Yes. Okay. Classical guitar. Would you rather? Would you rather play with a chamber partner who cannot lead or follow rhythmically, or a chamber partner who is completely dead in terms of dynamics and articulations?
Oh, sorry, completely dead in terms of.
Dynamics and articulations.
Oh. So the choice is between someone who cannot lead or follow rhythmically,
Yes.
or or someone who is dead in terms of musical ideas.
Yes, basically, and
Uh,
color and
I
dynamics.
have to say, I have to say the last one because whether you want or not, I think I don't know. If something goes bad, there has to be communication.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and if the other person can't lead or follow, what's gonna happen? It's just we're just gonna hope that we
Yeah.
both arrive to the end. So I'll say the second one. Yeah.
Yeah, as much as it sucks, it's probably better to have someone who's like a dead fish than someone who can't stay with
Yeah,
you.
it's the more secure option.
Yeah. Ramona Pauli says, Felipe es lindo, heart, Michael, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Ramona.
She's that's actually a friend from Portugal,
Ah, cool.
and she's part of a very good, um, well, vocal group. When I say vocal group, it sounds like I don't know, some kind of Renaissance vocal group, but it's actually like she and another four, also great friends of mine. They do basically soundtracks of movies, mainly, at least the last time I heard them, and they play it, they sing it, but they are also instrumentalists. She studied cello in the same music school as I did. That's why we know each other, and all of them were also my colleagues. So they're also instrumentalists, and but they use always like small instruments. Like her cello is supposed to be the bass. They play
Ah,
ukulele, and it's a really interesting
cool.
concept. And that's actually not her real name, so that's why I laughed.
Oh, okay, that's funny.
It just it just invented like a name for each other. It's
That's
nice.
cute.
Yeah.
Um, I one of my projects I want to do one day is to play like make a recording of a bunch of like video game songs arranged for classical guitar. Um,
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
I think playing film and game music is actually really neat. My friend Nathan has a trio and they play a lot of like film and game music.
Yeah, I saw the Zelda
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. They're great, and it's really nice. It's nice to hear like really good musicians play that stuff because most of those covers on YouTube are sort of subpar quality, you know.
Hmm.
Um,
And I think that's a movement that still didn't really strike guitar. I think there are lots of pianists already doing it and really good ones apparently.
yeah,
So I think you have a very good niche there to explore
yeah, for sure.
the
Um,
game part at least. Sorry, yeah.
okay, next, would you rather? If you okay, so in this scenario, you have someone putting a gun to your head, okay, and you either have to.
I actually I have someone putting a gun to my head right now. It's
It's
she's
Magdalena.
there now.
Okay, so gun to your head, you have to memorize and perform all six of the violin sonatas and partitas in 6 months,
Okay,
or
okay.
you're only allowed to play Carcassi etudes for 6 months.
Oh
Practicing,
wow.
performing anytime you pick up the.
I'm very suicidal with challenges, so
So
I
you
will
will
go
take the
for
Bach,
the first.
but
I'll go for the first
I
one.
mean, can
Yeah.
you imagine that concert though? Like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, but Yamashita did that, for instance, with the cello suite on guitar.
Yeah, I know,
I
but
didn't listen. But
Yamashita is like a superhuman, so
yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that I think we are also a bit spoiled in terms of duration of the concert, guitar concerts, and also duration of the pieces. Like I like big pieces, and I like to play them, and usually it's I have to be a bit careful because it's like I'm already taking almost half of the program with a 20-minute piece, and yeah, and I didn't do you understand what I'm getting?
yeah. You should play the sonata Nathan wrote me because it's like 21, 22 minutes long or something. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be ridiculous, right? Because if you're a symphony, it's like minimum 40 minutes or 30 or
Yeah,
whatever,
I
and
know. I mean, I,
you know
I,
what I mean?
I love it. I'm not complaining at all. Nathan, if you watch this, I'm not complaining. Um, I'm not complaining. It's just like you're right. We don't in guitar we don't experience that often. So when we do experience it, we're like, oh my god, this piece is so long. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you would take the crazy Bach challenge rather than be forced to play Carcassi for 6 months. Would you rather have uneven tremolo or uneven scales in a concert where you have to use them equally?
Oh, wait,
Like
but
really uneven, like galloping tremolo. You know, and like your scales sound like, every third note is like buzzed.
I think you can choose more of a bad scale than a bad tremolo, so I'll go for the bad scale.
Really? Other people say
I
that you.
mean, assuming that you're not playing a piece with scales on every bar as well, because there's no such thing.
No, I'm
Maybe a
saying
truth
that
seven might be able to do it.
I'm saying that in this concert you have to use both more or less equally. So you have like a lot of tremolo pieces, but also a lot of scale pieces. So
Ah, I see. Yeah. Well, I mean, you either suck or you suck. So,
yeah,
I'll go
but
for the. I think you can still cheat more a bad scale than a bad tremolo again.
okay, really. But the thing about bad tremolo is it's kind of like people get used to it, you know.
Well, but it's not only. I mean, maybe from the audience perspective, but from the player's perspective, I think it's much. I think it's worse to handle a bad tremolo than a bad scale. Like
Mm.
I had already. I don't know if it happened to you, but I had already experiences where I'm very nervous when I'm playing, and I chose very unintelligently um, a piece with tremolo to begin,
Oh yeah,
and it was a disaster. It was a disaster more in the sense that my reaction was really panic,
yeah.
you know, because
But
the
I have the feeling that if I'm playing and I like screw up scales, I feel like I have to restart more easily and it's more embarrassing. Whereas if I'm like my tremolo is a bit bad, it's like I just move on and keep going and push through and it doesn't stop. You know, I don't know.
think I think let's put it this way. Think about the amount of great players that have failed, guitar players, huh? That have failed a scale, and the ones that have failed tremolo.
Right? Yeah.
And that's the way
Well, but
I
I think the ones that would fail tremolo just don't play tremolo. There are a lot of guitarists who do this actually, who just avoid tremolo pieces.
yeah, I don't understand that, but okay.
No, well, I mean, I think that more guitarists should be okay. So this is the thing about another thing about the connection between singing and guitar. You talk to singers and they're all very clear. Like this is my repertoire. That is not my repertoire. You know, they speak about this all the time because of the voice types, which makes sense.
In singers,
Yeah, but I think that
yeah,
guitarists
yeah,
should
of course,
think.
because of the voice type, yeah.
Yeah, but I think guitarists should think a little bit more like this. Not to the same extent, but people should be more careful to pick repertoire that fits them artistically and physically.
No, absolutely. But on the other hand, I think we're lucky enough to explore artistically a bit out of our comfort zone, and
Yeah,
actually, like, yeah,
yeah, but if you're
as
play,
I said,
if
I'm more of a 20th century kind of guy, and I'm playing mostly romantic music. Why? Because I listen to these things and I'm absolutely like fascinated by them, and then I think I really didn't play them so much. So why should I stop myself from playing this beautiful music just because I know my strengths already? You know what I mean?
right, yeah, no, but at the same time, if you're gonna do like a competition or a big concert that's thematic for you, I don't know. Well, you can push your boundaries, of course, but I just think a lot of students. I think you are very aware of your artistic personality, but a lot of students aren't thinking in that mode at all. They're just thinking in the mode of like I have to be a machine that plays like all the hits of all the different variety. Not the hits, but like Brouwer Sonata, Finisterre Sonata, Rogondi,
Uh huh.
Introduction and Caprice, like all the competition hits. Let's say,
Uh
um,
huh.
and then they end up with a program that doesn't say anything about them, doesn't really fit them, and even if they play it well, it's kind of like so what.
Well, it also depends on the phase of the development that you are in, right? So if you're pre-bachelors, I think you should explore as much as possible, and
Hmm.
then the more you go further,
Yeah,
if you explore so much, you know already what works and doesn't work for you. But I mean,
yeah,
that exploration should never stop, I think.
right.
And I'm not sure if there's a real way to do it. Even though this sounds really, I don't know, suicidal again, but I'm not sure if there's a real way to do it unless just propose yourself to play it in front of an audience and play it,
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's I mean trial
right?
by
You can
fire is
always practice for yourself, but first of all, it's not gonna be as effective because you'll not have an audience. So you'll be like, okay, yeah. You'll not put as much effort. There's a really famous guitar player which I'll not name, but
oh
people
boy.
will know. People who know him will know who I'm talking about. Who says that you shouldn't play Bach on guitar and you shouldn't play Baroque music on guitar?
I don't know who you're talking about. You can message me
You'll not
after.
know them.
We'll talk about it after.
And, no, but I mean, it's just a philosophy, and to be honest, I respect it because it it's also a person that really, because of that, or in addition to that, values a lot the original guitar repertoire. And he was saying that it's different when you practice a piece for yourself and when you're presenting it for the audience. So he was saying that basically it was okay for you to discover Baroque pieces by yourself to learn from them musically, but that they ultimately they don't fit the guitar.
I still
Well,
think it
I
sounds.
disagree with that,
Yeah,
but I have to say that I myself I'm not a Baroque music player, in
yeah,
guitar. So, for instance, when I try to
Play Telemann?
to play the seventh Fantasia. Yeah, man, every time I tried, something wasn't speaking to me, as you said.
Yeah.
But I really like to listen to it, huh? I really like to listen to it by with period instruments. I love it. But when I play it in the guitar, for me, it's an instrument which reacts much better on music which is not Baroque music in my hands,
Yeah.
at least my conception of the instrument.
Yeah. Interesting. Pablo Villafuerte says, "What?"
No, this not like interesting. Such lots of bullshit. Just
No. I thought it was interesting. I just don't have much to say because it's not my experience. But yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I can relate in the sense, especially with, like I said, 19th century classical music. I mean, there are some pieces, but it's very like I feel like I'm a very picky player when it comes to the 18th and 19th century. I'm playing the Grand Overture right now. I'm really enjoying playing it. I don't know if I'm any good at it really. I mean, I think it's going okay, but like, I'm really enjoying it. I enjoy Release Some Cost, but there's a lot of stuff from that period that just never spoke to me and never will, I think.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a personality thing. But Pablo Villafuerte says avoid tremolo pieces. He knows what's up.
Oh yeah, the Pablo that we met. Yeah.
Yeah. But
But he says to avoid in general, or that.
he just says avoid tremolo pieces with a hand clapping emoji. No, but like I won't name names either, but I've heard of a number of really good guitarists who are just like, yeah, I avoid playing tremolo in concert.
Sure. I mean, I I wouldn't think like that, but who cares,
Yeah.
really? I mean, if you do, go. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Anyhow, okay, let's move on with the would you rather.
Sure.
You have to choose. The last one is you have 1 week to memorize and perform one of these two pieces. So you have to choose one.
Okay.
And let's assume that you've never worked on this piece before, just in case it's one that you have.
Okay.
The Jose Sonata
Okay.
or BWV 1004, like the D minor partita.
Oh my God. Okay. Oh.
1 week.
I would go for the 104. You know why? Because you can again.
Because
You
you're
like to
pushing
cheat so
yourself.
much, right? You can cheat it so much better than the Jose Sonata, man. Jose Sonata, you either do it or you don't. And I played it and I stopped playing because it was an awesome experience. Learned so much from it. No thanks,
Yeah.
because I destroyed my hands. I still want to go back to it,
Yeah.
but I really destroyed my hands, man. Trying to really, if you really want to play what I was gonna say what he wants, but that's very very subjective, right? But
Hmm.
you know, according to what you read in the score, and you think, if you don't want to cheat the text too much, it's so difficult, so difficult. So I would go for the 104, just because if you actually don't add any bases until the chacon, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
I think. I think.
It's true. Plus,
You just
most of
have to
us.
practice a lot the courant, the jig, and of course the chacon. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's it.
But even the Chacon, you can just like time warp to the like, end by like skipping a bunch of stuff with one of the variations is possible, and you can get away with it.
Yeah, I guess. But on the other hand, it's so known that I think people notice.
Yeah, you do just do like the 4 minute Chacon.
But actually, that's also one of the things I would love to do it to perform the whole 104 partita,
1004.
which you hear it so awesome, so often in guitar
Yeah.
and in general. Really, you just hear the chacon separately, but it's a pity because it misses also the whole context. And somehow in my head, this is a very geeky thing. I'm sorry, but I always imagine before the final resolution of chacon, going back to the beginning of the partita. Yeah, it's just a
Oh
geek.
man, that would be
Okay.
brutal. half a full hour
No, but
concert.
I really love that partita. Is I think is my favorite.
It's
Okay,
great. I like all the movements a lot too. Nice.
yeah, great music.
The 4 minute Chacon, yeah, exactly. I think there's a video of some guy playing the 4 minute Chacon on YouTube, if I'm not mistaken, where he just like skips to the end, basically. But like,
Really?
yeah, in one of the variations, that's like kind of. I'm trying to remember that whether if anyone knows that video, I think Tim might know it. I think he might have showed it to me, or maybe someone else did. Anyways, okay, let's have you play. You want to play some Giuliani?
Sure.
Okay, Giuliani, and then we'll do the lightning round and wrap up.
And then?
The lightning round, and then we'll wrap up. Let me just fix the camera here.
Oh, actually.
Awesome.
Rock.
Rock on, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Good job. Those are cool.
Thanks, Mike.
I don't think I've ever heard that piece before.
Actually, it's in Portugal at least. It's very popular in music school, pre-bachelor. So let's say the 3 years that you do before you go to bachelor. Many people play this actually, and I played it. So I tried to revive that piece.
Cool.
Uh,
Nice. Yeah, it's funny how certain things. I mean, I think that the most popular pieces are just that way because they get repeated a lot, and then people pick them up from other people, right? So even within each region, different things are popular.
yeah, absolutely.
For example, in some places, people find it very rare to play Telemann on guitar, but in Maastricht with Carlos' class, it's like, you know.
It's like the holy Bible, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you don't play Telemann, it's like, do you even study with Carlo? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, Ioana Gandarber says very nice. Yeah. And
Thank
Pablo says great Giuliani playing right there. Bravo, Filipe. Yes.
Thank you, Pablo.
Thank
Obrigado,
you
Pablo.
both. Pablo is going to be coming on the show in a little bit, and I actually need to get back to Ioana, but hopefully she will be on the show soon as well. So,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
That's nice.
So, yeah. And Jorge Cural says, well done, man. It's getting better. Winky face.
Ah, that's my father.
Of course. Your father has to come and give you some constructive feedback. It's
Yeah.
good. Nice. Great. Well, let's play. Let's do a little lightning round. Let's do the lightning round, Philippe.
Lightning round. Let's do it.
This is where I say this or this, and you have to pick one immediately, like no thoughts.
Can you repeat? Sorry.
I give you two options, and you have to pick as fast as possible.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
South Park or The Simpsons?
Simpsons.
Okay. Bogdanovich or Brouwer?
Brouwer.
Okay. Maastricht or Den Haag?
Oof. Oh man. Um. Den Haag.
Okay. I would have to agree. Telemann or Bach?
Bach.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Chocolate.
Solo or chamber?
Chamber.
Mammals or reptiles?
Mammals. Yeah.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Claudio Abbado or Herbert von Karajan?
Abado.
We watched Abbado the other day because Berlin Phil had these free streaming things, and
Yeah.
there was
You
this.
know, as much as Karian is a legend, and I love him. When I see images, the video images of the guy, sometimes it can be a bit disturbing, to be honest, because I can't really understand the concept of conducting with your closed eyes like this. I don't know.
Right, yeah. Claudio
And
Abbado is so
really,
great.
I really adore the concept of music of Abado. He always gets the structure of everything that he conducts so amazingly, and
Yeah.
then on top of this, it's it's uh, it's not too intellectual. Like you see all the work, the intellectual work,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still very interesting and it's still very emotional and delicate. I don't know.
Yeah, and
I
also
love Richard Mahler by him. I really love. It's
also like seeing him conduct, it's theatrical in a non-theatrical way. Do you know what I mean?
yeah. His movements are really
Beautiful,
um,
yeah.
yeah, and fluid also.
Yeah, but not
It's
in a way where it distracts from the what he's doing with the music either. So
absolutely.
anyway, pizza or pasta?
Mm, pizza.
Liszt or Chopin?
Chopin.
Of course, yes. Free stroke or rest stroke?
Wait, so rest stroke is apoyando, right?
Yes, and
I
free
always
stroke
get
is tirando. Tirando or apoyando?
tirando, yeah.
Okay. Schubert or Beethoven?
Oh, Mm. Schubert.
Breakfast or dinner?
Dinner.
Okay. Contemporary or classical romantic repertoire for guitar?
That's a good one. Uh, Contemporary. You mean? Yeah. What do you mean by contemporary? That's a good
Okay,
question.
okay, okay. Modern slash contemporary. So like 20th century till now.
I'm gonna go. Oh, so 20th century is still on. It's
Yeah, it's
still
modern,
part of.
like modern as in like the
Oh,
middle of the
okay.
20th
So
century.
I'm gonna go for that. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
contemporary.
Yeah, maybe not like maybe after like Faya, that kind of thing, like
Yeah.
Ponce
For sure.
Tedesco on that sort of Rodrigo. Yeah, okay.
20th century onwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Campanella or regular scales?
Sorry, Campanella or
Or like regular scales, like on the same string.
regular scales on the same string.
Okay, Sor or Giuliani?
Sorry,
But you didn't play Sor. Okay.
I didn't play because it's more difficult.
The truth comes
But
out.
oh yeah, no problem. But I think it's one of my favorite guitar composers, to be honest. Sorry,
Okay. Sweet
and
or
he
salt?
really broke many barriers of the guitar that
Mm,
I think Giuliani used them, and Sor really tried to break them in every way possible. I think he was really revolutionary, and I really like him.
cool.
Okay, next one.
Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Tremolo or scales?
Tremolo.
Ah, interesting. Horowitz or
Yeah,
Rubinstein?
I mean we talked about that already.
Ah, that's true. Yeah, yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
Yes. Horowitz or Rubinstein?
Um, I don't know enough to to decide, to be honest. But from what I know, I would say Rubinstein.
Okay. Thibaut Garcia or André Dividis?
Oh, um, I'm gonna answer and I'm gonna justify, if I may.
Oh, okay, but that's not the point. Okay, whatever. Yes, go ahead.
No, because I mean, both of them for me are one of are yeah, they're both I think more or less in the same generation. Maybe Andrea David is a bit older, but I think they're one of the best players out, one of the best players out there, right?
Yes, yeah.
And I would go for Andrea Davids because I just identify with him more as a player than Thibaut Garcia. I think Thibaut, Thibaut is like super delicate and perfect and amazing sound and so on, but I just find more personality in Andrea Davids playing.
Yeah,
He's amazing. One
yeah.
of my idols.
Cool. Concert or masterclass?
Hmm. Okay. In general, right? It doesn't matter if I'm listening or if I'm giving it or what.
Let's say if you're giving it.
Oof. Um. Yeah, concert. I guess concert.
Okay. Restoration of the composer's intention or personal interpretation?
You bastard!
I
Because
know.
it's supposed to be the balance between both. It can be one or the other. But if I really choose, I go for the personality of the interpreter.
Ah,
Absolutely.
interesting.
Absolutely.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Spoken like a true Carlos student. Just kidding.
Sorry, maestro.
Sorry, maestro. If he watches this, you can grovel later. Bream or Segovia?
Bream.
Okay.
Any day.
Yeah. I think every single person has said Bream instead of Segovia. I should just take that one out and assume.
No, my friend. That's not true at all.
No, everyone on this show so far.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I think it's interesting, huh? With Segovia, you either hate him or you adore him. I
Yeah.
don't know anyone in between, to be honest.
Yeah. I'm a little bit indifferent to him, except I totally love him for all the repertoire that he created, basically, or made happen.
Yeah, yeah, that's my case. I respect obviously the huge work that he did and well the huge figure that he was, but I just can't identify with myself with the playing. Yeah,
Yeah, I can't listen either. Okay, Martin Diller or Zoran Dukic?
Zoran Dukic.
Okay, cool. Well, with that, Philippe, before we wrap up, do you have ideas about the future of guitar? Where do you want the guitar to go? What do you want to see?
Definitely, I want it to be more included in music, classical music festivals,
Hmm.
rather than in classical guitar festivals, and it really breaks my heart to see amazing classical music festivals in which guitarists could go learn so much from other instruments, and the other instruments also need to learn from us, right? They also need to the other instrumentalists, sorry, they also need to learn about our instruments. So I think it will be an amazing opportunity, and it's not really happening, to be honest. And I think that I hope it goes there because then we have all the possibilities to play more chamber music and therefore dignify more our instrument. When I say dignify, is just because let's face it, in with many other instrumentalists, it's still a kind of I don't know how to say minority instrument
Yeah,
or minor instrument because it doesn't have so much volume, for instance. So we need to figure a way to prove them wrong, man. And yeah, I think that's the main thing really to get it out of to maintain obviously the classical guitar
but to expand,
festivals.
yeah,
I mean the classical music ones, and also I think we should all try to really force that. It sounds horrible, but once I wrote to a classical music festival, I'm sorry, and I'm also saying this because I have a wonderful opportunity of when I was 16 more or less of being in a classical music festival, which was it had my it had Dejan Ivanovic, so my previous teacher in my bachelor's, him and his duo partner, Michalis Kontakakis, and also oboe teachers, violin teachers, so you name it from the classical music instruments, and they even had jazz uh, classes, and you could. It was awesome because you were taking those classes, and then you could go just see the violin master class,
yeah,
and then you could jump to the oboe and blah blah. And what you learn from the other instruments is I think really valuable,
yeah,
and the more characteristics also we absorb. Sorry, as players, the more relatable it will also be for them when they hear us play, right? I
yeah.
think.
One of the best experiences of my career, let's say so far, was playing in a festival called the Mountain View Festival, which is the concept is that they hire emerging artists, young artists who are finishing or in the middle of their studies, and then they have you rehearse with really established instrumentalists of all different instruments. So, for example, I played the Tedesco Quintet, and then I did stuff with Jessica also, and we got rehearsals and coachings with great violinists, great cellists, etc. And it's not always a masterclass setting in the sense that when I was playing the quintet, I was playing with extremely established musicians, some of the best in Canada, the concertmaster of the Toronto Symphony, for example. And in that
That's amazing. Yeah,
yeah, but in that situation, you rehearsing with them, and then you learn in the actual practice of what you're doing, and
of course.
it doesn't have to be in that exact setting of having the rehearsal instead of a master class. It could be master classes, but the point is that I was the only guitarist who did that for years and years, and I think it like maybe ever or in several decades at least, and it's because I knew the director from being in the same communities, and I asked her, have you ever had guitar and that kind of thing, and I just think that the guitar world, there's a lot of guitarists who aren't looking anywhere else, aside from guitar
Yeah, yeah,
festivals.
yes. But I have to say also, even when you try to look, it's really hard.
Yeah,
Even in chamber, and I mean, I try to perform. that same quintet, I find it really beautiful, and I
Hmm.
tried to perform with a string quartet, and their answer was like we're talking about an academic context, which is also a bit different, but
Yeah.
still, their answer was like, yeah, we just have 2 years, so we I'm sorry I talked with them, but they prefer really to stick on Mozart and Beethoven and Shostakovich, and all those classics of string quartet that you can't compete with. So it's amazing that they are taking an initiative as the one that you're saying,
Yeah.
because then it gives us the opportunity to play that repertoire, and yeah, and also for string players to play them as well, which I
Yeah.
find
I mean, I think I
interesting.
was very lucky, but my point is that I don't know, when guitarists who are studying or who are at the beginning of their careers are looking at, or any, even as someone established, when they're looking at festivals to look forward to play at and be a part of, are they looking at anything aside from guitar festivals? I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it's a two-way thing. I think they don't look because there isn't so much offer out there, and I think there's some not so much offer out there because people don't look,
Yeah, but
right?
I also think that there are enough people. If you really looked hard enough, there are enough people that would be interested in collaboration and creating something interesting.
We should start some challenge, man. Corona challenge with let's piss off some instrumentalists who are not guitarists to play interesting chamber music of guitar. I I'm
Oh man,
I'm
yeah. What's what the internet needs, another internet challenge, right now. Well, anyways, I hope that the guitar does the same thing. So I appreciate your vision. I share it. I think, but yeah, it's not easy. I mean, it's not an easy problem. Let's say to solve. I just think even though it's not an easy problem to solve, I feel like more could be done than is being done.
hmm
And it's easy to sit here and criticize and that kind of
I
thing.
don't think it's about more or less, Mike. I think it's about just differently because I think a lot is being done actually. The technique, the guitar technique is evolving. I mean,
No, no. I mean, I,
amazingly.
I don't mean that. I mean more could be done to expand the guitar outside of the guitar world.
Yeah, exactly. But that's because it's the energies of players are more focused on competitions and guitar festivals,
Yeah.
which to be honest I can't blame anyone for that because it's you know safest option
Is it the
but
safest
anyway.
option though to have a career? I don't think it's the safest option to have a
No, no,
career.
no, no, no. No, 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 sorry, I was comparing guitar festivals and classical music ones, not yeah, no, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
but I mean, many of the guitarists who do well past their studying years are the ones who are playing with a lot of other instruments
Yeah, sure,
because they
but
have more concerts basically because their chances of getting concerts are higher because they play with not just guitarists.
mhm.
I don't know.
Of course, but it's also a bit ungrateful, right, for someone who is starting a career that you have to first build a career and then you can and only then you can play the Tedesco quintet with someone, for instance. It's a shame.
No, but I don't think it's exclusive like that. I mean, I think that you can do it at any stage if you find the right opportunity and you know. But you have to be lucky, of course. But I just mean, yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, maybe we disagree, but I just think that yeah, that just,
Actually, I think we agree, but we're just kind of going in circles
yeah,
because
yeah. I think we should
this
just
subject
say
is
we
very.
agree and let's move on from there. Okay. Well, thank you, Philippe, so much for coming on. It's been amazing.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah,
Absolute pleasure. Thank you
and
very much for this.
lovely to hear you play music that's not your norm, apparently.
No, it's not. No,
Yeah,
it's not at all.
yeah. Well, you played well, so it's nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much,
Awesome.
Mike.
And thank you everyone for watching. You can see there's a link to support the stream also and also support the artist who came on. I forgot to mention this before, sorry. But everybody who's watching, you can tune in again. On Tuesday, I have Evan Taucher coming on. And then Friday is Pablo Villafuerte. So please come on and watch those guests as well. And check out the archive on YouTube. So thank you all for watching.